Death, the most feared enemy of mankind. None escape its grip. Or do they?
Harry, Mama loves you. Dada loves you.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my theological analysis for Harry Potter, the boy who lived. This is not an analysis for any one particular movie or book. This is the whole franchise taken together and looking at that concept of the boy who lived and how come the killing curse rebounded right off of Harry and destroyed the Dark Lord. The Dark Wizard with all this power and might was defeated by an infant child that didn't even raise a finger to defend himself. That is the concept that I want to dive into. You know what's really interesting is something that Jesus said that I think is pictured throughout this entire franchise. Jesus said, whoever seeks to preserve his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life will keep it. Voldemort's quest is immortality. His quest is to preserve his life, and he does it at the cost of others. He murders others to split his soul so that he could throw his soul into Horcruxes, so should the worst ever happen, he won't really be dead, and he can pull himself back together and come back into power.
Protected.
That part of your soul that is hidden lives on. In other words, you cannot die.
So that's the whole purpose of what he's doing. He's seeking to preserve his life because he fears death. When you look at the world of Harry Potter and you get into the castle, there's ghosts everywhere. So it's not like life ends when the body dies, because it seems in this universe you could go to the afterlife or come back as a ghost. When you kind of look at it from that perspective, it's like, what do you fear about death? Because there is evidence in your universe of life after death. But Voldemort fears death and he seeks to preserve his life. But here's what saves Harry's life: the sacrifice of his mother. That sacrificial and selfless love became a protection of ancient magic that covered Harry and defended Harry. When Voldemort showed up to kill this infant child because of this prophecy,
"And the Dark Lord shall mark him as his equal, but he shall have power the Dark Lord knows not. For neither can live while the other survives."
and when he showed up to kill this child and Lily sacrificed her life for Harry, it put that hedge of protection over Harry, which caused the killing curse to rebound and destroy Voldemort. The reason he was delivered from the curse of death had nothing to do with anything that he himself had done. He lived because of his mother's sacrifice of love. And that's a powerful image there, because the fact that love caused death to rebound shows that that power of love is the greatest power in the universe. And we know that to be true. Jesus himself says, greater love has no one than this, to lay his life down for his friends. The truth of that truly is ingrained in our heart. It keeps coming out in our movies, in our writings. We do seem to have that ingrained in us, even as we dig into Harry Potter, that love is more powerful than death, and love defends us from the curse and can set us free from the curse. So finally, at the very end of this entire franchise, Harry goes into the woods to face Voldemort. Now, when Harry goes into the woods, here's the most curious thing about it. He faces Voldemort as the Master of Death. Seriously, think about it. He was given the Resurrection Stone, one of 3 Deathly Hallows. He was given the Cloak of Invisibility, one of the 3 Deathly Hallows. And Malfoy had disarmed Dumbledore, giving Malfoy the allegiance of the Elder One, the last of those 3 Deathly Hallows. And then Harry defeated Malfoy, which then caused the allegiance of the Elder Wand to go to Harry. So Harry had all 3 Deathly Hallows. When Harry faced Voldemort, he was the Master of Death. And as the Master of Death, he didn't seek to preserve his own life. He laid his life down for his friends, and it was a sacrifice of love. And he did that because he was the unintended Horcrux, and he knew it. So he knew a piece of Voldemort's soul was in him. And in order for that to die, Voldemort had to kill him, and that would make Voldemort vulnerable. He had to do that. So he let himself be killed. Harry, the Master of Death, allowed himself, he subjected himself to death in a sacrifice for the love of his friends so they could defeat this Dark Lord. And again, we see death reversed for Harry. I mean, granted, yeah, he's standing there in the afterlife and he chooses to come back, but it's just such a fascinating scene in the whole context of all that we've been talking about. And finally, he faces Voldemort in a duel at the end, and Voldemort is doomed from the beginning. He's doomed from the beginning because he's fighting Harry with the Elder One. The Elder One is on Harry's side. It's not there with Voldemort, and so Voldemort casts the death curse yet again at Harry with a wand that is on Harry's side, and Voldemort lost his life. So the path of Voldemort is death. The path to selfishly seek life at the expense of others. The path of selfishness, the path of death, the path of hatred, the path of coldness and vengeance. Those things feel powerful, and they don't even feel as negative as what I just said. They don't feel like hatred. They feel like righteous indignation. They don't feel like vengeance. They could feel like justice. This person stepped on my toe. I'm cutting their foot off. It feels like the right thing to do. And so, like, it feels so right, and it feels so powerful. But as Voldemort was seeking to preserve his life, he encountered death and was permanently destroyed. And Lily brought life to Harry by her sacrifice of love. We even see her ghost at the end of this, knowing that she's still alive in an afterlife. And then we have Harry, that was the master of death, and willingly laid his life down for his friends, and not seeking to preserve his life, he truly found life on the other side of this. So that shows us the choice that we have in life. It's an artistic depiction of the choice that we have. We can walk the broad path that is so easy to walk because it feels so great, so powerful, and so strong, but it's the way that leads to true death. Then there's the narrow path, and there are few who find it, but it's the way that leads to true life. You know, Jesus came and became a human being because, as it says in the book of Hebrews, he became like us so that he could pay our debt and die for us, and in death defeat the one who had the power of death so we could be set free from the haunting fear of death. Sometimes that fear of death really causes us to pursue a selfish course, but when we pursue love, when we pursue God, we are really pursuing life. And when we lay our lives down in love, not seeking to preserve our lives, but seeking to live as he lived, it's amazing the actual life that we find. So when you watch Harry Potter or read the books, what do you get out of it? Are you excited for Fantastic Beasts 2? Let's talk about it in the comments. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian. Hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next theological analysis, movie review, ranking video, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.